All right, welcome to another song title challenge where the question is, climbers, how would you write this one? And what happens is we have climbers, listeners of this podcast, send in their song titles. You can send in one, you can send in 100, send in as many as you want. You can send them in one email, you can send them in 100 emails. It's all good. Just don't send me duplicates, please, but send them to info@daredevilproduction.com. Production is singular, there is no S. info@daredevilproduction.com. Put song title challenge or STC in the subject line so it gets into the right folder. If you don't, it won't. And then Brent and I and a very special guest get together and brainstorm on 5 or 6 different conceptual ideas that we can come up with ways to go and write those lyrics. This is not a co-write in any way, shape, or form. So for our special guest today, who will be introduced shortly, I will let you know that they can use all of what we say, they can use none of what we say, but we all three do demand that we be invited to the number one party because we love parties, and we're going to take some credit, right?
Not credit, but credit.
Credit, yeah. Do you have anything you want to add to that, Brent?
Man, this is just, it's infotainment. We just want to not only have a good time here, but we would just want to lay out and kind of model for you and encourage you to dig deeper into your titles, because a title is not an idea. A title is just words. It's what you make those words mean that really turns your title into an idea. And ideas matter. They really matter. So this is just a fun exercise. So, yeah.
Yeah, for a better idea. And one more final thing before we introduce our guest today. If you think about what Brent just said in terms of the dance from Garth Brooks, on its surface, just the title, if that was in a hook book, there's probably a million other titles that are more interesting to write. But because of the idea, because of the angle that they chose, now that becomes an extremely iconic piece of art that means so much to so many people and is really, hits you in the feels and in the human experience. So this is also, not for nothing, a great way to breathe, speaking of hook books, brand new energy and brand new life into an old hook and that you haven't looked at in 5 years because those are old. I'm on the new shiny stuff here. But you go back and do this exercise for 15 or 20 minutes. And I mean, Brent, by golly, you've been getting cuts.
Yes.
from stuff that you had down forever ago.
One of which is with our guest today.
Which is important. A single out. I didn't even mean to do that. I swear to God, I didn't mean to do
that. Perfect segue. And our guest today is the multi number one songwriter. His name is all over the Southern Gospel singles charts as a writer. He is also an artist. He's a member of the just hit after hit group Legacy 5, a Southern Gospel group that just won their, first Dove Award with their last record, which was the first record since he joined the band. So I'm going to start calling him Rabbit's Foot. And he's a co-writer of mine. He's a buddy of mine. We're starting to get cuts together, which is really fun for me. Because I'm glad I'm not derailing his train. I was starting to get nervous there for a little while. He's getting all these cuts, and finally we start getting cuts together. I was starting to think I was a problem. But Lee Black, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yes, Lee, thank you for saying yes.
Yes.
Brent texted me last week, and I was like, the thought of this terrifies me. Yes, absolutely.
Hold on, just let that sink in, climbers. He said, this terrifies me, therefore, yes.
Yeah.
I love that. So before we get rolling here, for anybody who wants to go check out Legacy 5, where can they find you at?
Legacy 5 is spelled out.com, and we are on all the social platforms as Legacy 5.
With 5 spelled out, correct?
With 5 spelled out, yeah. We just dropped a new record Friday called Something New that we're very excited about. So go check it out.
Fascinating. And you are the tenor, correct?
Yes, I sing tenor for them. So I've been there about 2.5 years, and not something I was expecting to do. I've just always been a songwriter and thought that's what my lot in life was, and still, staying busy with that. But I'm enjoying time on the road now. It's been kind of fun.
Well, good for you. I love hearing that.
That terrifies me. So yes.
It terrifies me. So yes.
That terrifies me. So here we go.
Oh, well, first I'm going to say, Lee, I don't even know if I'd mentioned that to you, but we have a song that should be coming out. who knows, maybe by the time this drops, but it's been recorded. So they're talking about singling it, God of Gideon or the
Yes.
Foresters. I had a title about and a vague thought about Gideon that was way back in my hook book. And at the time, I was definitely a country hammer and everything looked like country nails. I didn't know how to approach that. But like, it's some sort of spiritual thing about how I'm getting down to nothing, but this is where God's going to step in. But
Yeah.
then went in before one of our co-writes and song title challenged it, and started coming up with the idea of what became God of Gideon that, got it dialed in enough to present it to you. And then we wrote it. But that title had been in my hook book for,
Wow. That's a
Gideon
great,
had
that's
been
a
in
great
there
story.
for since
And
like
yeah.
2014, probably.
Yeah.
Um, so climbers, those old titles, go back and revisit them because at the time I wasn't at the place of even thinking like a Southern gospel thing because I just was not that was not on my radar. I didn't know people in that world. Then you go back and looking at with new eyes with who I am now, going, now I see a pathway to do
Wow.
that. And then it became something I was excited to bring to Lee, and then Lee put his rabbit's foot on it, and good stuff.
What a
Good stuff is
great
happening
cut.
with it.
I
So
love the cut. Excited about it.
yeah.
Nice.
So
All
all
right.
right.
Well, there we definitely have some pedigree on the show today. Here's our title. This is from, I believe this is the first time we've used a title from this writer, Theodore Cosey or
Theodore
Cozy.
Cosey.
It's Cosey. It's either Cozy or Ted Cosey or Cozy.
I don't know, but
Um,
thank you,
yeah, thank you for
Theodore.
sending this in. And the title, so I'm going to give you my hot take before I give you the title.
Okay.
I think this is a really wide berth here. Like, there's a lot of ways we can go with this. It kind of rhythmically is cool, I think. But I also wonder, I'm going to tell my compatriots here on the show that I think it's also possible we could cut it in half. It's a longer title, but we could
Okay.
use the front half or the back half if you want to. But here's what we got. The title is, and you're going to have to write this down because I had to read it 3 times, but it actually, when you say it right, it rolls off the tongue good. So I'm not as used to it as I used to be.
Ooh.
Okay.
I'm not as used to it as I used to be.
Yeah. Okay. Still writing it.
I'm not as used to it as I used to be. The matchword is.
Well, that's fun. It does. It does
Wow.
have a fun rhythm to it. So thanks, Theodore or Teddy or however Kosi or Kusi, however you go by it. It's the name challenge today.
Yeah. I think it's either Cozy or Cozy.
Yeah.
I guess it would be Cozy the way it's spelled. So
So
I like that. I just wonder, like, I guess initially too is like, if what else could we add before used to be, and maybe the actual song title would be used to be.
yeah.
Yeah.
One angle,
Yeah,
but
and even if you keep this, I'm not as used to it as I used to be. Like, and just call it used to be, so you don't, because these days titles are just kind of trending shorter. Even though the whole hook actually would be, I'm not as used to it as I used to be.
yeah.
Uh, boy, this is. I think this is gonna be fun. This
Man,
feels like it has a lot of
okay, so I don't know how this works, but the first thing that
Uh-huh.
hit me, I'm thinking like this is a guy whose woman left him,
Mhm.
and he's cool with it to begin with, but the longer it goes on, he's wanting her back.
Yeah,
He was
this is
good with it
exactly how
before.
this goes, Lee.
He was tired of it to begin with. He was
Mhm.
tired of her. Now a little time has gone by, and he's wanting her back.
Oh, I love
Oh,
it. So maybe he's the tough guy right out the gate. Like, it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Better up. I got plenty of girls lined up that want to talk to me.
right.
I'm
But
used to being.
now,
Yeah,
yeah, but now he's lonely. He's not used to the lonely anymore.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
I like
that's
that right
cool.
out of the gate. Our guest comes in with the gold right
See,
out
I
the
told you.
gate.
Um,
Yeah.
And I'm thinking too of like another way of doing it more positive angle too is like maybe the guy that's used to being a bachelor, right? But now he's finding that girl. Like, I'm used to going out on my own. I'm used to, playing the singles thing or whatever,
Ah,
and just doing whatever I want. Kind of being, there's a difference between solitude and loneliness, but I'm used to being like solitude, solitary
yeah.
kind of thing. But now that he's met her, I'm not as used to it as I used to be. Like, this isn't feeling as good now because I've now got this girl. you start like wanting to be tied down a little bit, you know?
I got something better.
Yeah.
I'd rather be over here than at the bar or at the
Exactly. Like I'm
football
used to that
game.
stuff, but I'm not
Or
as used to it as I used to be.
I like that.
Which is like I'm falling in love with this girl. So, my wants and desires are starting to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I don't want to be as much the gypsy highway kind of guy as I used to be. It could be that thing too. Maybe even like being on the road and traveling around. You could even frame it that way a little bit. But I'm
A
used
road
to I'm
song.
used to the road, but now I'm not as used to it as I used to be. Like I want to be home more. Like I want to be around you or bring you
Well,
with me or something. Could be a good, positive love song that maybe an artist can relate to for all the travel.
Oh,
Could
I
be
like that.
cool, and it does.
I, I got one. So how
Yeah.
about this is a feel good song, but um, in the vein of, let's say, Little Rock, like alcoholism or addiction recovery.
oh,
Sick
Yeah.
and tired of being sick and tired. But
yeah.
and I just got used to it, but now I'm not as used to it as I used to be.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a way you can spin that to go forward of what makes maybe what rock bottom feels like. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then you
Wow.
work your way out of it when you really make the choice.
Mm.
That could be cool. Like, yeah, I was used to just waking up, maybe not even hungover. As we've talked before, like it's bad when you don't ever get hungover because you never sober up enough to be. But like I was used to whatever these effects of alcoholism is. But then you hit that, and maybe there's an inciting incident, like, but now that you're gone, or something that safety net has been pulled out from under him. Now he's really feeling the effects of it, and he's not.
Oh,
I'm not as used to it as I used to be. Like,
yeah, some inciting event in Act Two.
Hmm.
Uh,
yes, exactly. My mom, the English teacher, would be proud of me for saying inciting incident. What kicks
Wow.
off our story? But that's a
Heck,
thing
I'm proud of
I
you,
often
Brent. I'm
ask.
proud of you.
But that's the thing I often ask about songs is like, why now? Why are we saying this now? Why is this thing changed? Like, why is he not? What happened to kick this off? This new
Yeah.
line of thought of why he's not? Is it just no particular reason, or did something happen to trigger that? Which could be a bunch of
Yeah.
things.
You know,
Wow. I mean, I used to be the kind of guy that did this, and I used to be the kind of guy that did that, and you were the
Mhm.
kind of girl. You used to be the kind of girl that would put up with a kind of guy like me, and now that you're gone, I'm not as used to this as I used to be. Something along that line
Yeah,
would be kind of interesting where you set up that event. But I feel like you could start with, used to
I
be
used to
could
be.
be, yeah.
Yeah, or even just used to the something. Lee, you.
Used to be I would go out and do this. Used to be you would
Oh,
put
that's
up with
cool.
that. Used to be I could blah blah blah. And
Yeah,
now I'm not as used to it as I used to be. Oh,
yeah, that's
this is
nice
so
when
much
you can
fun.
bookend those. Those are fun.
yeah.
Um, used to it. I'm not as used to it as I used to be. I think
You
about
know,
getting older too. Like I'm used to eating spicy chili and staying up late. But as I
that's
get older, I'm not as used to it as I used to be. Like, what genre could you do that in? Could you do that like in a bluegrassy thing where you can maybe be
yeah,
a little more
absolutely.
self-deprecating and it's a little of an older generation? Not totally, but like in general, it's maybe a little bit older demographic who would think that would be funny and would get
Yeah.
that. Um, I don't know. I think about the old
You know,
dogs.
about like the world that I operate in is primarily Southern gospel, and I was sitting here going, if I were going to write that title as a Southern gospel
Mhm.
song, how would I write it? And I don't want to like go heavy on you all of a sudden, but I was
No,
thinking,
this is good.
if this is a person, I mean, if you're, it still feels like a country gospel song to me. But if you were writing this as a Southern gospel song, you could write this as a person who lived a pretty hard life
Mhm.
before Jesus,
Yeah.
and was used to the sin and used to the heaviness and all of that kind of stuff. And then had a radical transformation with Jesus and is just not used to that stuff as he used to be. I was
Yeah.
thinking that could
Ooh,
absolutely be like for those country gospel kind of artists, that could be
Mhm.
a really cool title for them.
Oh,
I
I
like
think
that.
so. Because that thing about now, yeah, my wants and my desires, like I'm not at home in those places
Yeah,
anymore because I'm not
yeah,
who I was. Uh,
right.
and I wonder too if you could a little framing device. So maybe that's some of the particulars I'm finding about Southern gospel. Country gospel, we might be able to get away with a little bit more. Is like in country, like you can talk about the dark stuff, the screw ups, all that kind of stuff, and how you're moving past that. In Southern, you may not,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to be a little more careful. But if it's a second person point of view, like, he said, I'm not as used to it as I used to be. Like you're having a conversation with the guy kind of thing. The guy comes up after the show and he's like, man, I tell you what, it's, thanks for doing this, Saturday Night Revival. Used to be, I'd been, down the street at the bar, but I just can't go there anymore because I'm not as used to it as I used to be. And that way the singer doesn't have to be the guy that like had the hard past or something.
Yep.
So the singer kind of gets a pass, even though we all are screw ups and still do. But it gives that singer some of that distance where they can still get the point across of how, the Spirit changes you without having to cop to their own crap.
Yeah.
So from a framing mechanism, you're saying like the way that like Nichols and Wiseman framed
Live Like You Were Dying.
Because
exactly,
it was a third party.
Yeah, where it's Tim McGraw sharing this conversation he had with the guy that had the cancer scare and went skydiving. So Tim McGraw didn't say, "Hey, meet Tim McGraw. I was in my early 40s and I had a cancer scare, so I went skydiving."
Right.
Because that may just kind of mess with the listeners a little bit and go, "Did he really?" But he was able to say, he said I was in my early 40s. And I said, "What'd you do?" And he said, "I went skydiving." So it gives you that power, that first person point of view, that punch of it. It's not nearly as powerful to go, "He went skydiving. He went," it's like, you're really fired up about this other dude. But it gives you that I went skydiving without people going, "Tim McGraw had cancer?" Or whatever.
It allows the artist to be fired up about the story.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that may be a good framing mechanism for really any genre, just depending on what that they're used to could be.
Yeah.
That's a way to kind of, sidestep some possible landmines, which is a total commercial consideration, not particularly a song consideration, just a commercial one. But yeah, Lee, I think that could be really cool. I'm not as used to it as I used to be. I mean, to me, it's a fun title. Like it has some of that, just because that bounce, it feels fun. I'm trying to think like, how would George Strait sing this? What would he talk about if he's not as used to it as I'm not as used to it as I used to be? I mean, it could be a song about country radio. I was used to listening to country radio and hearing Merle Haggard and Alan Jackson and blah, 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 and turn on these days and shoot, I'm not as used to it as I used to be.
With a not commercial consideration whatsoever.
Exactly. Let's disc radio and try to get played on.
Lined up radio.
I was just thinking completely non-commercial. This could be a big political statement too. I mean, and again, that one's going to be hard to get cut, but
But this is where we're playing in the sandbox. We throw all this stuff out, and
for a certain crowd, that's going to be like, "Hey, man, yeah, absolutely."
Yeah, I've gotten used to politicians blowing smoke up my butt. I got used to all this stuff, but you know what? I'm not as used to it as I used to be. I'm getting over this mess. Like I'm over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? That could be commercial if you write it not from without specifying a side of the aisle.
Yeah, if you write it kind of nonpartisan.
Because I have a pretty heavy disdain for all.
Yeah. Well, when you say I'm sick of politicians lying to me, I'm sick of them not keeping their promises, I'm sick of people causing division. Well, both sides can point at the other side and go, yeah, that's totally you.
Absolutely.
Right? And just as many fingers are pointing back at them. And so it's
so brilliant. Yeah, so brilliant. You just like laugh and go, excellent.
Yes. And so I'm playing you against each other, just like a politician. Oh, the irony.
Movie now as it seems.
Right.
But that could be a big kind of rally anthemic kind of, call to action for people to stand up for what they believe in.
I think that's. I'm not sure how like the big anthemic, because I'm just thinking like how that hook, how that title would land. It has a smile to it to me. Like I'm not as used to it as I used to be. Like, it's not a I'm mad as hell and I ain't gonna take it anymore. Like, it's not
Yeah.
that, right? It's
Right.
not we're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. It's not that. But
It's
it's
not Twisted
saying,
Sister.
yeah, it's not Twisted Sister. It's a little softer than that, right? So, but it could totally be that political thing, but it feels like it's a little bit more of a soft touch on it, but still making the point, but it's not as angry. At least it covers it with a little bit of a wink and a smile. I think it feels like that to me, the way it's, for like a political thing or something like that, going, yeah, I'm just not as used to it as I used to be.
Yeah.
But you're still making the point of, yeah, I'm reaching the end of my rope, guys. Come on. Like, this
Yeah.
has got to change. This is stupid.
Yeah.
Something's got to. What other like big growth growth steps happen? Like where you're not as used to it as you used to be.
Yeah. And it could be like, I still, I do this and I do, instead of like, I used to do this, I used to do that because I'm not as used to it as I used to be. It could be like, yeah, I still, I still go out and I still do this and I do that, but I'm just not as used to it as I used to be. You may not even have to do all the used tos. I wonder if that would clean it up a little bit. But yeah, what else could it be? I'm not as used to it as I used to be.
Hmm.
Could it be the story framed in a different way? Let's say about a stepdad or stepmom
Mm.
Hmm.
gets married. All of a sudden, you're dealing with kids that you didn't have before. It's like Carnation Instant Family.
Wow.
Just add water, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And they're all there. It's like it's there's nothing grows. It's like right there, right now. And then the chaos that maybe you had silence or
Hmm.
and now you have the chaos of a family, and it's like it's beautiful chaos, right? I'm not as used to um, the moments as I used to be. Maybe when you do get some peace and quiet, like almost like you miss the chaos, right? Like
Yeah.
when you do get back to that, when you do that moment alone. Kind of like,
Hmm.
so one of my big clients had this big anniversary trip. The guy and his wife, and they went down to the beach. They're from Arkansas. They went down to the beach alone without the kids, and they were just totally like for a whole week in this Airbnb. And 3 days in, they were like, "Okay, we missed the kids. Like they had people bring the kids down
No.
because they were like, they were missing it. Like
Yeah.
they missed that kind of chaos. So it was, I think it could be that another angle on that.
Like, we used to just be able to pack up and go away to the beach for a week and kind of just the, young married, no kids kind of thing. And
Yeah.
then, boy, we used to do that, but I'm not as used to it as I used to be. Like, that was our
Or
thing.
yeah, or we needed to get away from the kids. It was our
Yeah.
anniversary. It's coming up, so we got away, and it was like, maybe I looked over at him on the beach. And I was like, I could get used to this, and it's
Yeah.
like, and all the sounds. But then all this, and then you angle it from the missing the community, the family,
Hmm.
the whole thing. For that matter, because that angle could be about any kind of community, right? Church community.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about somebody that had to leave the church for a reason, or their specific church, not the church, but
Yeah.
they had to move, and there was I don't know, like there could be some angles in there that could
Yeah. And
bring that up.
I think too of like, it's about whatever situation I'm in it's kind of running its course. I'm kind of being done with it. Even if we don't show what the other side of it is, it could be like, the guy that's, I'm going out and I'm dating around and, that sort of thing. I'm not tied down, but I'm used to it, but I'm not as used to it as I used to be. Like the thought of like, I'm getting ready to find that person. I don't know who that is yet. Maybe because I haven't found her yet. Like, we did a
Or they're
version where
ready to
he
meet
found
somebody
her,
that they're
but
ready to be in
maybe,
a relationship.
yeah, there's also the version of like, I'm kind of getting done with dating around. I think I'm wanting to find that person, even if you
Yeah.
haven't found them yet. Could be that thing, or the partying thing. All my rowdy friends have settled down.
Oh yeah.
And I'm still used to it, but I'm not as used to it as I used to be. Like I'm getting
Oh, that's
ready
good.
to like
That's
grow
good.
up
See,
a
that's
little
a
bit.
good transformational positive thing. I
Yeah.
got one, and maybe this is the perfect button up on it. But at the beginning of this show, uh, we talked to Lee, and he's like, when he asked me, I was totally made me feel uncomfortable. So I said, yes. Like, what if that's the angle? Like, take that risk. Like, go into being uncomfortable. Get out of what used to be, what you're used to, and get into being not as used to what you used to be, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like a move forward. Always move forward. Like you're not, get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable.
No. Is there any way to twist the phrase of like I used to be like start a chorus with I used to be this, I used to be this, I used to be this, but then got comfortable this, but I'm not used to it as I used to be.
Yeah. I used to be the I'm just pulling stuff out of the air, of course, but like I used to be the guy at the bar. I used to be the life of the party. I used to be, the last man standing on a Friday night. I used to be
Yeah.
the ladies' man that wouldn't call her back, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I got used to that, but I'm not as used to it as I used to be. And for a
That's
while, I
What
got
about
used to that.
what about
It could be
what
that kind
about
of thing.
used?
Yeah. Used to being used.
Wow.
Yeah, I was used to being used. Like maybe you're
Wow.
used to being used by the man, 40 hours a week, and then
I love that. That's
Yeah.
great.
Or
like
a
so.
relationship thing. Like I was used,
Yeah,
I used to be that girl you'd only call when you're like your last call, or that just you didn't treat her right, and she was kind of used to it. It was not a good relationship, but now she knows that there's something better, and and maybe they broke up, and he's coming back around, and she's like, I remember I used to be that da da da. Well, I'm not as used to it as I used to be because I found somebody else, or I've just moved on. Either way, I moved past you. It's
yeah,
so kind of an empowerment thing of like I've outgrown you and the way
yeah.
you treat people. So no, I got used to it for a while, but I'm not as used to it as I used to be.
Oh, I like that. Yeah,
Female
that's a lot of
empowerment
good
never
looks.
hurts. Yeah,
That's
fun.
a lot of good looks at it.
Guys,
Any
this
final
is a
thoughts
great
here?
exercise. Gee whiz. I'm
Isn't
learning
it
something
fun?
here today. I never think about doing this with a hook. I always go, this is the angle right here. But wow.
Yeah, this is what I do before I bring in an idea, Lee.
I love it. Gee
See, Lee,
whiz.
you didn't have to think about it because you've got brains.
I know. No.
And I mean, not like his career's been hurting, but yeah, it is. It may mess it up. Maybe you don't want to mess up what you're doing, Lee, because it's working.
Well, wow, guys. So, thank you once again, Lee, for saying yes.
Yes.
And wow, we just had a blast doing this with you. I think we got some really amazing different sort of frameworks and looks at the way to write that. If you want to send your song titles, climbers, send them to info@daredevilproduction.com. Put STC or Song Title Challenge into the subject line. And, we'll pop them to Brent and our next new guest on the air and see where we take it from there. You can find Mr. Lee Black at
Legacy,
Legacy 5.
FIVE.com.
And you spell 5.
Yeah.
Legacy5.com and all socials at Legacy 5.
and
hear what's
streaming
going on there.
services,
All the
Legacy
streaming
5.
services.
There you go. There you go. This podcast exists because we want you to win. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.